Hey everyone, so today we are going to see what is the connection between orthogonal vectors and linearly independent vectors. So they have a very nice relation. One of the things implies other, but other does not imply the previous one. Okay, so there is a theorem that will connect these two things, but just let's recall this both the concept once. So if I have a inner product space V, so what is my V? It's a vector space and it has an inner product. So if I have an inner product space and now you take S, which is nothing but say V1, V2 up to Vn. So these are the vectors in the inner product space V. So this S is a subset of V, and then when I will say that S is an orthogonal set, if the vectors inner product of Vi comma Vj is 0 for all I comma j and your I is not equal to j. Well, you can say I equal to j also, but the problem is if I say if I remove this condition, that means what? Your inner product of Vi will also be 0, but then by property of inner product this implies your Vi is 0. So if I don't write this condition and if I only say that this is 0 for all ij, that means all of your vectors will also be 0, because your inner product V1 0 implies V1 is 0, inner product V2 0 means V2 is 0. So in short it's only a 0 vector set. But okay, so we always play with the non-zero vector set. So that's why I'm putting that condition that I is not equal to j. Another phrase for this is S is a subset of V and your Vi, Vj's are mutually orthogonal vectors. So what do you mean by mutually orthogonal? This thing. So some people directly say that let S be an orthogonal set, that means the same thing. Or some people say let S be a set such that the vectors are mutually orthogonal. That means what? This condition. Inner product is 0 for I not equal to j and for all ij. Okay, so this is a notion of orthogonal set. Now when you call the vectors to be linearly independent, now suppose you have vectors say v1, v2 up to vn. When you will call this vectors as linearly independent vectors or this set as a linearly independent set, if the linear combination is 0, means if c1 v1 plus c2 v2 plus cn vn is 0, then your scalars has to be 0 for all I from 1 to n. That means if the linear combination is 0, then the scalars has to be 0. That means what? There is no connection between the vectors, because if the scalars are non-zero, that means what? You can write one of the vector as a linear combination of other vectors. That means what? The vectors will be dependent, but we want independent, hence the coefficients has to be 0. Okay, so this is the meaning of mutually orthogonal set, mutually orthogonal vectors or the orthogonal set, and this is the notion of linearly independent vector. And there is a nice theorem that says if a set is orthogonal, then that set is always linearly independent. Okay, that's what we are going to prove today. And one can ask about the converse. Is the converse also true? If you have a set which is linearly independent, then does that imply that that set is orthogonal? Answer is no. So for the converse part, I will give you the counter example. But before that, let's see this proof. So here is a statement. So let V be an inner product space. So you have a set on which you have a vector space structure as well as you have an inner product. With respect to that inner product, this is an orthogonal set. Okay, so we have some inner product on this set, and with respect to that inner product, the vectors are mutually orthogonal. Then we prove that your S is an linearly independent set. Now I want to prove that this is a linearly independent set. So how will you proceed? So if the linear combination of vectors is 0, then what you prove? You prove that the scalars are itself 0. So let's try to prove that the scalars are 0. Okay, now what I will do is instead of trying to prove in general directly, let me just do a special case for V1. Let's first prove C1 to be 0, and then I will prove in general that Ci are 0. Okay, so for understanding purpose, let's go for C1 first. So what you do is you consider this inner product of C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus Cn Vn comma V1. You consider this inner product. Is this a vector in V? Yes, because it's a vector space. So therefore the linear combination will be in V. So now I consider this inner product. Now what is this inner product? This is equal to 0 comma V1, because this we are assuming it to be 0, right? So this is 0 comma V1. Okay. Now by a linearity property of inner product and by the scalar property, so this addition will also get split and the scalar also comes outside. So what I want to say is, this is C1 inner product of V1 V1 plus C2 inner product of V2 V1 plus Cn inner product of Vn V1, and by property of inner product this is nothing but 0. Okay, but what is given to us? That S is an orthogonal set. That means what? V1 V1 will be non-zero, this is 0, all rest will be 0, because V1 V2 will be 0, inner product of V1 V3, inner product of V1 V4 up to inner product of V1 Vn, all will be 0, because it is given that the vectors are mutually orthogonal. So this implies what? Your C1 into V1 comma V1 is 0. 0 means, yeah, it's a number over here, okay, it's not a vector. So but this is non-zero, right? So I have C1 into, what is this? This is norm of V1 square. Both are numbers. This is a non-zero number, therefore what? Your C1 has to be 0. Next you do with the inner product with V2 bar, then you do the inner product with V3 bar, and so on, so you get all the scalars to be 0. But that's not how one should write. So what we will do now is, we will do with inner product with Vi, so where I can be anything from 1 to n, so that you can write a precise proof. So let's see the proof on how to write instead of taking V1. So here is a general proof. So if the linear combination is 0, so what you do is you consider the inner product of this vector with Vi. Okay, so initially I took V1 for understanding purpose. In general we write Vi, but the first component is 0, so 0 comma Vi, 0 bar Vi bar. Okay, now again by the linearity property and the scalar property, this gets split and the scalars comes outside. So C1 V1 Vi plus dot 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 Ci minus 1 will come outside, Vi minus 1 Vi, Vi Vi, and so on. Now since the vectors are mutually orthogonal, so all this will be 0, all this will go away, only Vi Vi will remain. So this implies what? Your Ci into inner product of Vi Vi, which is norm of Vi square, is 0. But we are assuming that the vectors are non-zero, so for this is a non-zero thing, therefore Ci is 0. And there is no condition on I can be anything, so this is true for all I from 1 to n. So therefore if you have an orthogonal set, then that set is also a linearly independent set. Okay, and this theorem is useful many times, because suppose if you have some very bad vectors, suppose if you have V1 to be say 7, 9, 13, right, and if you have V2 bar equal to, suppose if you have here okay, instead of this let me take here 16 over here, and suppose if you have here 1 minus 1 minus 1, and if you want to see whether they're linearly independent or not, so what you do, you just take the C1 plus C1 V1 plus C2 V2 equal to 0, and you try to find C1 and C2. But now you know the theorem. Now these are the vectors in R3, and you consider the dot product as your inner product. Okay, so is my V1 V2, is the inner product 0, the dot product 7 into minus 1, 9 into minus 1 plus 16. So since the inner product is 0, that means what? V1 and V2 are orthogonal vectors. Therefore straight away you can say that V1 and V2 are linearly independent vectors. So that's the strongness of this theorem. Whenever you have some collection of vectors, and if you feel, oh, the numbers are very bad, just give a shot. If you already have an inner product on that set, on that vector space, then with respect to that inner product, just check whether that inner product is 0 or not. If 0, great, you can say they are independent. If non-zero, then you cannot say. Okay, if the dot product, if the inner product is non-zero, then you cannot say whether they are independent or dependent. Why? Because the statement is not if and only statement. Okay, it's not an if and only if, it's only one way. The converse of this statement is not true. Converse is not true. That means what? If you have linearly independent vectors, then those vectors need not be orthogonal. Example, so here you go, you take V to be R2, which standard our dot product as the inner product. So let me take V1 to be the 1 1, let me take the simplest one, and V2 to be 1 0. Are they linearly independent? Yes, because if C1 V1 plus C2 V2 is equal to 0, so when you multiply and compare, you have C1 plus C2 equal to 0 and C1 equal to 0. As soon as your C1 is 0, you plug in here, your C2 is also 0. So therefore these two vectors are linearly independent. Are they orthogonal? No. Why? What is the inner product of V1 V2? Inner product is nothing but I am taking as the dot product. 1 1 is 1 plus 0. So 1 plus 0, which is 1. So they are not orthogonal. Okay. So if you have linearly independent vectors, then those vectors need not be orthogonal. But if you have orthogonal vectors, then they are always linearly independent. Orthogonal, or the theorem also works for orthonormal, because what are orthonormal vectors? They are orthogonal plus the norm is 1. Okay, so whenever you have the collection of orthogonal or orthonormal vectors, then those collection of vectors are always linearly independent. So I hope you understood this. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. And if not, and if you liked the lecture, then do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.